Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and meet you all. So in terms of research in conflict and post-conflict and displacement, one of the issues that we have, and I'm talking about the context of Kurdistan region and Iraq in a wider case, it's that actually lack of ethic practice in the region in terms of research, even before this, like conflicts and other things. So I mean, it starts with this level of lack of research ethic rules and regulations, as well as the monitoring system for it. So then when it becomes, when a conflict occurs, then things become even more chaotic. That's when even when things become worse, that's because you already don't have rules and monitoring in place, and now things get more chaotic. So then now you have to deal with that part of it. So then one of the issues that arise from that is that the vulnerability of the people, and then the volatility of the situation, the rapid change that require lots of flexibility, especially for researchers who are not insiders, who are coming from somewhere else and they want to do research. That becomes even more challenging, something to pinpoint what are the issues. So that's one of the things. And then there are the difference between, so the only regulation that's in place when it comes to ethics, research ethics, is related to law, not actually research ethic in a sense that you have what you have. So for example, when I was doing my postgraduate studies in Canada, for any data collection, then you have to go through a research ethic, something like that. But then no, you don't have to, unless it's something actually it interferes with law or with security. So for example, there are places where you are not supposed to go around without even having university regulation for it, just because of the police officers or something like that. They don't want you to take photos in that area, or you become suspicious when you do something like that. So I mean, that's the context. And of course, you can imagine that opens the whole can of worm when it comes to conducting research, because now it's a fluid situation that you cannot even deal with. So I would say that's kind of the issue that we have there. It's lack of it.
Hi, everyone. So I wanted to sort of speak really about what we use the research for, because I think that's the question you need to start off with. I've come across different types of researchers. So there's the researchers such as myself who are based at academic institutions. And we are motivated to do research for a number of reasons, right? Be it following on from some of our doctoral expertise, however it may be, institutional pressures. And then we may think, okay, I want to go and do research about sexual violence in the Gambia, where I'm from. And I think there's a question there to ask about my interest and whether there is a need for the research and what it's for in that particular context. Because for me, the point has to be the research must be issue-led. So it's got to be feeding into something that's going on, or maybe moving towards policy changes, or visibilizing something that has been ignored. These are some of the things, and perhaps it's one of the things we can discuss. What could the research be used for? There's lots of different things, but I always think that's where we have to start off with. So I'm running a project now at the minute on victim witnesses coming before the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in the Gambia. And I'm Gambian, but I didn't grow up there. So I know that the dynamics of things, like microdynamics of things within the country that I may have missed out, I needed to make sure that the research reflected that. So our partner is one of Gambia's largest victims organizations. And throughout the process, we've built in times where we just sit and ask the question, is this the right way of doing things? So whether it's 3 months, 6 months, we just literally stop and say, what have we learned at this point? What has worked? What hasn't worked? What could we be doing better? Where can we go? Who are we missing? Are there any things where we've made mistakes? We build in some sort of accountability throughout the lifespan of the project. And that, I think, has ensured and will ensure as we move forward that we're not only producing research that may have some kind of change and relevance to what's going on, but also that we are conducting our research as a team in as ethical a manner as possible. because we are checking ourselves, as it were. With all of this, I think one of the things we perhaps could think about when it comes to the ethics of our research is also how we articulate that in, and I call it situation countries, but in the countries that we're dealing with. So again, for example, writing a journal article, writing a report is one thing, and it speaks to a certain dynamic. But should we also be thinking about how to connect to people in different ways? So let me give you an example. In our Truth Commission project, one of the things we do, and one of the sort of outputs that we're going to be doing, is that we're just holding local women's groups. So we're tapping into women's groups in the civil society, and we're going to talk to them about what we found in our research. And that's not an article, that's not a workshop, it's just coffee and tea with women, because that's what women do in Gambia. That's how we connect. That's what goes on culturally in terms of changing hearts and minds, as it were. So perhaps one of the things that we can do about our research is think beyond what is our quintessential way of producing research findings, of articulating that, to kind of understand and appreciate how conversations and change happens in the societies that we work in.